Hi, this is B.J. Thomas, and you're listening to Icon Fetch.
Welcome to Icon Fetch, the web's premier music interview show. Now, here's your host, Tony Peters.
Now, welcome to the show. Now, Tiffany had phenomenal success at an unbelievably young age. Her debut album went quadruple platinum when she was only 15 years old. That record yielded back-to-back number one hits with the Tommy James cover, I Think We're Alone Now. And Could Have Been. Other hits followed, including the Beatles' reworking I Saw Him Standing There and All This Time. But the shelf life of a teen idol is usually short-lived. Now, as she became an adult, she ventured into different territory, including dance and country music. Now, Tiffany is back with A Million Miles, her first new album in 5 years. And to talk about it, we welcome to the show, Tiffany. How are you? Good to talk to you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
That's good. Now, okay, it's been 5 years since your last album, so what you been up to?
I've been on the road. I tour a lot, which I love. I love the whole live aspect. I've always loved touring live. Recording songs and writing songs, and now on the new album, producing songs is, awesome. I mean, I'm very grateful for that and something I wanted to do, and I've grown up in the music industry, so it's the next progression for me. But there's something so wonderful and magical about being, on stage live with the musicians and just working off the crowd, and all the spontaneous events that can happen. And this show that I'm out on the road with right now celebrates the new album. Of course, we always do old school stuff. I never don't perform and not do I Think We're Alone Now and Could Have Been and
right.
Everything that made it happen for me. So, it's been 28 years of blending music together. And like you said, I've done some dance stuff. I mean, I think for me, I've been really blessed to have people reach out to me and say, hey, I want to do this with you. I'm a dance DJ or I'm this. And my audience is really so diverse. And I kind of think that's based on the 80s, really, where there was a little bit of this and a little bit of that. So I've been really lucky to kind of work with different people. And then I did an album called Rose Tattoo, which was kind of a country take. Still a little blues, still a little rock like me, and very, very much grounded in pop. But, people don't know that I had a history in country music, that I actually started out in country music, and I thought that I'd be a country artist, starting at 9 and 10 and 11 and going to Nashville, and my family not having any base in the music industry at all, not knowing how to get it started. We got great advice from like Mickey Gilley and Johnny Lee and Hoyt Axton, who pointed us into, the way of Nashville. I recorded a lot of country stuff before, and I was 10. So to get a record deal at 10,
Right.
Just didn't work out. But I waited till I was 14, coming back to LA, and we did try to, record some kind of pop country mesh at that time, but it just seemed to turn its corner a little bit more pop. And my parents weren't happy, but my girlfriends were. All my friends loved. I saw them standing there, and I Think We're Alone Now. They were rocking out to the track. For me, it was just a highlight of my life. Someone really taking me serious, and I'm in the studio and I'm recording and, just living my dream.
Well, you talk about being 14, 15 years old when all this is going on. That's incredibly young. Did you find, you were so young that maybe you didn't appreciate kind of what was going on at the time? Or, how do you feel about that?
I think I always appreciated it, but didn't know what to expect. What do you expect next? I think what I didn't expect was being shoved in an adult world. I mean, the music industry is really a business, and, it's very, an adult world, even though you're a kid, I mean, I had a childhood and I had fun and I loved what I was doing, but you're competing for a slot on the charts, you're competing for radio time, you're competing for all of this, and you're going against, adults and other really amazing artists, and, and so it's kind of the facts of life a little bit. I was a little, taken back by the harshness of it all, but I think that's what's maybe kept me in the game now, and is that earlier business sense that was instilled in me, and really no one ever, hid that from me. So it was a little harsh at the time, but for me, it's like I'm very resilient now, and I do look at the industry as a business, and, doing what you love at the same time and having that bond with your fan base. And, now things like social media and stuff like that is easier to work a record, which I'm very grateful for. But I still miss some of the old school stuff, I have to say, but I think hands down I was able to have my childhood, go out on the road with people like New Kids on the Block and my dancers and just cut up and have good, fun time, and yet every day I got up and did interviews, and it was, I think it was hard when people ask you, well, where do you see yourself in 10 years?
Yeah, right.
Well, I was like, I was still singing. I don't.
Right.
I mean, a lot of times people didn't, they didn't save you from, wanting you to really explain why they should take you serious. Are you a true musician? And I think now, 20-something years later, I think people go, okay, she's stayed in it. It wasn't just a fad for her. Even though I've done different projects and I've done crazy reality TV and stuff like that, that's just part of our time period of what, unfortunately, what people want to see on TV and things like that. And it does raise the awareness that you're still breathing. But, musically, I've really kept the music part, near and dear to my heart. I've done a lot of great work, and I'm very, very proud, and mostly I'm very proud and grateful for all the people who've continued to inspire me and work with me and, and just help me grow really as a musician. And it continues till this day, I mean, I'm out here and just loving what I'm doing. So I think that's what it really is all about.
Right. No, absolutely. Now let's talk about the new record, because you mentioned A Million Miles is the first record that you actually get a co-producer's credit on. Now that's got to be a sense of accomplishment there, because, I mean, there was a period of time when you were a teenager when you really weren't calling a lot of the shots, kind of thing.
I think I've always had, my 2 cents. But, yeah, definitely. There was a period of time where I couldn't, step up to the plate. I didn't know what I was doing. I just heard things in my head. I think I started to step out more in production with The Color of Silence, some of the dance records, definitely some of the live show that you hear. A lot of that production is me. But I really never felt comfortable, again, taking a title. I was kind of shy about it, and for whatever reason. But, I open my mouth and my voice comes out, and it's just, it's kind of natural. Songwriting is something that I've always wanted to do, but, I wasn't good at it at first. I had to really work and go to Nashville and learn the art of songwriting, and then learn those tools and take them and make them mine and make them work for me. So I think that, I've always been in the background, giving my 2 cents, making silly noises with guitar parts and say, no, we need to layer the vocal this way. But on this one, I really did. I came in for this record and said, I'm ready. I'm really ready to take a title. I have so many ideas. And please, let's start recording immediately, because the voices that are screaming in my head, it's not pretty. I have to get this out.
Gotta get them out. Right.
I knew I wanted a record that was a little more dramatic, musically, with beautiful violins and cello and strings. And I just wanted this beautiful musical journey on this album. And, some of the lyrics are just so truthful. And I wanted to write about a lot of things that have happened to me in the last 5-6 years. I'm losing both of my parents, my dad to cancer, and what that feels like to watch somebody go through that. Things that have changed in my life. I had a cousin who passed away from addiction, and she's my best friend.
I'm gonna fall again. I'm gonna dance alone tonight. I'm gonna fall again.
I never expected to be here without her, which is very sad. I mean, there's so many great things that happen, and she would be my first phone call. And there's times that I don't have a clue what to do next, and she would be my first phone call.
Right.
So, just that whole experience with going through that with her, So, it's not all bad. There are just some great songs, called Get Over You, one called Get Over You, which is just about, your traditional heartbreak and a girl who's saying, I just can't get over you,
I can't get over you. I can't get over you.
And then, of course, the single Right Here.
You've been right here by my side. All the ups and downs and tears I've cried. You've been loving me right.
Which we actually wrote about the fans. Everyone can take it and make it their own, about a significant other or a best friend or whatever it applies to you. But for me, it really was about my fans being right here the whole time and always inspiring me and allowing me to be who I am, and take time off when I need it and try some, again, crazy reality stuff.
Right.
I'm a go-getter. So if something sounds like it's going to be fun or if it's opportunity or I'm going to learn something from it, I don't really, subscribe to the whole you can't do that. Oh, well, people wouldn't, like to see that. I'm living my life out in the public eye, and I do think that my fans are pretty open, and if I'm happy and enjoying stuff that I'm doing, then they're along for the ride.
Yeah, absolutely. Now let's talk about Right Here, because what's interesting is on the album it sounds one way, and then I noticed that there is a Ray Rhodes remix.
You've been right here the whole time. Ooh, ooh. You've been right here by my side. All my ups and downs.
It kind of meets the dance music and the kind of more earthy sounds kind of halfway.
Yeah, I mean, I've had, some dance singles chart in the last 10 years, which has been a lovely surprise. So, I do have a dance following. And Ray wanted to do something. He wanted to do a remix. He had heard the song. He's very successful with Taylor Swift and Lady Gaga. And so it really is an honor, again, when people reach out to you, producers or remixers, and say, hey, I like your stuff. I'd like to take it in a little different direction. I was all about it. I was like, oh, yeah, shoot, go ahead, definitely.
Right.
That would sound amazing,
Right.
So, yeah, I'm very, very proud of it. When he was finished with it, I said, oh, Ray, I don't know if I can sing this live. This is very fast. But, I enjoy listening to it. We debuted it in England. We were there for 6 weeks and definitely was a kick to see some of the clubs playing it and just, you'd walk in and you'd hear it and I'd be like, yeah,
Right, absolutely.
That's pretty awesome.
Right. All right, let me ask you about a couple other songs on the album. I really like Cry.
Just cry. Just cry. When emptiness is all you feel. Just cry.
It's got some great Rhodes piano, and there's like backwards guitar at the end. It's very tasty. Kind of a little bit more. I mean, a lot of the record kind of has, it's kind of, mellow or moody or a lot of ballads or whatever, but that's a particular one that's a little more upbeat. What can you tell me about Cry?
Well, Cry, I wrote with my guitar player who's out on the road with me. His name is Trevor Finley, and he is an artist from Canada. So he's like Americana kind of artist. I saw him actually in Nashville. We're both living in Nashville. and fell in love with his playing and his voice. And he's been with me for about 5 years. So he still tours on his own. He has quite a following in Canada, but he's my buddy, and we have a great time. And whenever I can get him to be out on the road with me, it's always a good time and makes my show amazing, because he really is like a brother to me. And, we have a good time. When I sat down to write the song with Trevor, we both had relationships that didn't work out. Relationships that we were like, why did we do that? That was so disastrous. But, that's kind of what we wrote. We sat down and wrote Cry, and he wrote a great line, I hate you for bringing me to here, which when he threw that out there, I went, that is so honest and so true, because that is just exactly how you feel when things go wrong. You started out and your heart's intention was to love this person and have a future with this person, and for whatever reason it turns, and it's just sad, and you can't help but get angry.
Right. Now, history teaches nothing. I love the line in there, we crave what brings us down.
History teaches nothing. The pain is the only sound. It's cold when the fire's burning, and we crave what brings us down. But we don't know how to let it go.
Boy, that's a good line, I think, too. And that was co-written with Julie Forrester, and you've worked with her before. What can you tell me about history then?
Yeah, that was, I have two buddies, Kirsty Manna and Julie Forrester. And they're my buddies, they're my girlfriends, and amazing songwriters as well, very successful. And we just were sitting around, and again, it was coming from a place of, continuing to do the same thing, either picking the same guy or person in your life, and why do you do that? Because it's, again, destructive and it's not working, or staying in a relationship that just keeps going around in a circle and hoping for a different outcome. It's not going to happen, but we do sometimes crave what brings us down. So, I love the dramatic part on history. I love the strings at the end and where the production goes, because I don't think that's expected when the song actually starts out.
Right. Yeah, no, absolutely. There's some tasty things, like, another example, on A Million Miles, near the end it breaks down and it's just you and your voice.
You're a million miles away. Time and love remains the same.
And again, there's a lot of interesting sort of tasty elements to this record.
Yeah, we really did want this musical journey, and I think we accomplished that on this album. I'm very, very proud.
Now, I noticed you've got this huge, array of different co-writers on the record. When you get together with people, is it kind of a different process each time, or do you kind of bring the same elements to the writing session each time? Do you bring some words and the other person brings the music, or is each one of these individual writing sessions a different thing?
Each one is really different. Like Cry with Trevor, I pretty much had the chorus there. I worked it out with him, but he was just playing. A lot of times I'll just ask him, a musician, can you just play something? Just whatever is coming out. Just play something mid-tempo and kind of gritty. And, they'll just start strumming or playing or on a piano, and then melodies will come to my head, and I'll start singing. And it's a little chunky and awkward and clunky at first, but, we start to refine it, and you just never know. A line can get thrown out, or a melody that's like, that's pretty, or that's really cool, that's different. And we start to build from there. I think it's harder when I do TV and film, and they want you to write for a specific scene or, a content, and you're like, oh, okay. You have to stay within the lines a little bit. But
right.
That's a challenge as well, and I do love that, because I think it makes you a sharper writer. Right.
Exactly. So speaking of film and television, I know you've done some TV. And when we last had you on the show, you had done that great film, The Mega Python versus Gatoroid, with Debbie Gibson. Now, have you got any TV in the future kind of thing?
I don't right now because I'm so on the road. I'm going to be doing this until the middle of next year, and going back to England as well, and whatever else comes along our way. I mean, now we're really starting to pick up with dates being added, and I put together the Million Miles tour, with the band and everything, and I just love the show. I want to keep it going. I'm going to jump off and do some retro stuff, because we always love our retro.
Sure.
And it's a lot of fun. I mean, multi-artists, and for me as a fan, I get to see people perform, and I love it, and people like Lisa and Exposé, those are my girls.
Right.
I love them.
Right.
I grew up listening to them. And,
90s throwback, baby.
yeah, I mean, they're not much older than me, but I was 15 when I started, so I didn't really get to hang out with anybody, and, everybody was always really nice to me, but I was a kid.
Right.
But now I come and I've got to know them and, their families and just, the respect that I have for them. And they're still amazing. They're out rocking it. So it's a lot of fun when I do a multi-listing show and go out and do a little retro and get my 80s on.
Right. Well, I mean, speaking of 80s and retro and all that, you are doing the 80s cruise, and what a lineup that you have for that. That's, it's February 2017. I mean, you talk about throwback. I mean, you got a whole, Debbie's on that particular one as well. And I think like Survivor, there's a bunch of great bands on this thing. So.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, those are really fun shows. High energy, a lot of different people, and I think that's what the 80s was about. A little bit of this and a little bit of that, I mean, people like Duran who liked Van Halen, I mean,
right.
So I know going to high school, I was all over the shop. I mean, definitely loved rock. But, I was listening to Van Halen, and I was listening to Lisa, and I was listening to all these different people, and the videos took it to the next level. I loved watching my MTV.
Right.
I miss it.
I want my MTV. Yeah, when they the M actually stood for music, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
So. So long ago and far away like that. So, all right, I got one more question for you. And this, you have been immersed yourself in Nashville and the songwriting scene there. And this is a lot of the country music songs, like the big hit songs. A lot of those, and this is maybe just my own personal opinion, but it seems like some of it is kind of color by numbers right now. It's like it's talking about partying and drinking and bikinis and that kind of stuff. Where maybe some of the older country music was a little bit, when you compare something like that to He Stopped Loving Her Today or something like that, right? I mean, is there any frustration at all with some of the songwriters in Nashville that maybe we've reached a point where a lot of it is sort of the same content or anything like that?
Well, definitely. I mean, I think that country is, kind of definitely more broad spectrum and more pop. And yeah, there's always been heartbreak and drinking and, the truth of what's going on behind the scenes in country music. But I think, yeah, now we've kind of, in my opinion, sometimes I like to listen to just a song that's just easy, that is a toe-tapping song, and that, you don't have to work to really completely understand it. But it seems like we've gotten away from great, well-written songs in country music, and I think that was something that always, it stood for. Just songs that break your heart, songs
right.
that take you there, and definitely I started writing music in Nashville. I went there specifically as songwriters and to just breathe their air, so I think there still are some amazing songs out, and when those happen, I'm like,
right.
Golden moment.
Right.
But, I definitely think that right now, country is just in a weird phase where it's just all about throwing out, easy breezy party songs. And that's okay. There's a spot for all of it, but, it doesn't, hands down, it doesn't hold a candle to that amazing, well-written song that just touches your heart.
Right.
And I think we've had a few of those, but, I'm old school country, so I'm always going to be more partial to that magic of whatever that really was,
Right.
And I still go out and see a lot of the older country music stars play, and I just think there's so much you can learn from them. I mean, they know it through and through. and they're still standing, and they're still sounding amazing. Tanya Tucker is one of them.
Oh, yeah. Tanya's fantastic.
Yeah,
Yep.
she's still got fire and
Yep.
sounds amazing. I was lucky enough to sing with her about 5 years ago, because Delta Dawn was my first song I ever learned.
Oh, that's cool.
And I got up and I was able to sing with her, and I've gotten to know her a little bit. And, I mean, she's just an artist through and through, and there's so much you can learn, and she's loving life and has a family, and, and I think that's what it's about.
Right.
And if you go and see a concert of hers, she sounds amazing.
Yep.
And I think that's a long career.
Well, good. Well, Tiffany, it was good talking to you. The brand new CD from her is called A Million Miles, and good luck with that, and we hope to see you out on the road here, too.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, everybody can go to tiffanytunes.com and check out where all the tour dates are.
Fantastic.
So looking forward to seeing everybody.
Yeah, it's Tiffany there, and you know what? You got to give her credit because, boy, she started out really young, and as she grew as an artist, she wanted to learn the art of songwriting, so she has immersed herself in Nashville for several years. And, the thing you can really take away from her new disc is there ain't no computer trickery going on there. That girl can really sing. So we are bordering on 300 interviews that we have done up on our website, so there's plenty more for you to enjoy there, as well as CD reviews as well. Until next time, I'm Tony Peters. Thanks for listening.
You've been listening to Icon Fetch with Tony Peters. Want more great interviews? Head over to iconfetch.com. There, you'll find every interview we've ever done, plus CD reviews, This Day in Music, and a random album of the day. You can also find us on Facebook and Twitter. Who is Tony going to interview next? It could be you. Send what you've got to Tony Peters. Icon Fetch, P.O. Box 292134, Dayton, Ohio 45429. Or email Tony at host@iconfetch.com. Until next time, this is Joe Kelly. Have a great day.